Hello everyone, and welcome to the My Greek Island podcast, Bitesize Greek series edition with your teachers George Tsunias
and Maria Petrakou. Γεια σου Γιώργο.
Γεια σου Maria, τι κάνεις?
Καλά, εσύ?
Yeah, I'm very excited today.
I can see. But tell us, what are we learning today?
So in today's mini lesson, we've been to the bar, we've been to the restaurant, and now we're doing something the Greeks love, which is coffee. So, let's go for a coffee, or should I say, a café.
Ah, yes, the Greek coffee culture. Ordering your coffee of choice whilst in Greece is definitely something you need to learn. And don't forget, we have you covered. We've got a cheat sheet that you can download and save on your phone, a blog post, and also a dedicated episode in season 1 all about the Greek coffee culture.
We certainly do, so head over to our website with the link in our show notes, or just follow us on Instagram at My Greek Island to keep up to date on all things Greece.
So, without further ado, πάμε για καφέ?
Πάμε Maria.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast, dedicated to take you, the wanderlust, on a journey through Greece.
There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
My Greek Island, with your hosts George and Maria.
Learning a new language can be very daunting, take courage and lots of time. It can also be very demotivating when you don't seem to make progress. This series is all about providing you with the instant language to use, get a reaction, and hopefully learn a thing or two that will stick. And who knows, you might even be inspired to start learning Greek properly.
And when you go on holiday, you just need a few words, phrases, and some slang, and you're happy, right?
Exactly. And what better way than learning how to order your coffee of choice when you're in Greece? Now, you can either have a coffee sitting down in a cafe, which I think we would probably recommend, or like many people you might see around, they have their coffee to take away, which in Greece is literally to have a coffee in your hand, which we say, ένα καφέ στο χέρι.
Yes, and as always, we do need some verbs here. So, one that we've already presented in the previous Bite-Size Greek episode, στο μπαράκι, we need the verb θα ήθελα, which means I like, θα ήθελα. Or another way of saying this is μπορώ να έχω, which means can I have, μπορώ να έχω.
Lovely. So first things first, let's talk about the types of coffee you can have in Greece. So make sure you refer back to our Greek Coffee Culture podcast episode, or also the blog post on the My Greek Island website. As well as all the usual coffees, Greece is really famous for some mainly cold coffees that are, I would probably say they're unique to Greece. So we have the first one, ένα frappé. Ένα frappé. We also have a cold version of an espresso, which is ένα freddo espresso. So one cold espresso. Ένα freddo espresso. Thirdly, you might choose to have ένα freddo cappuccino. I'm sure you know what that is. Ένα freddo cappuccino. And not forgetting the Greek coffee, Turkish coffee, Cypriot coffee, wherever you are, it's called a different thing, but in Greece, it's called a Greek coffee. It's served hot. Ένας ελληνικός. Ένας ελληνικός.
And clearly, depending on how sweet you are, you might need to add sugar or not. E.g., I don't take sugar in mine. George does.
Yeah, I'm not sweet enough.
The Greeks have three versions because they will actually put sugar to meet your sugar preference. And there's three versions of that. The first is plain, which means without sugar. The second is medium, which means with 1 teaspoon of sugar. And the third is sweet, which is with 2 teaspoons of sugar. So the first one that we mentioned, no sugar, that's sketo. Sketo. With 1 sugar, metrio. Metrio. And sweet, or with 2 sugars, γλυκό. Γλυκό. So, as I said, usually I get a freddo espresso sketo. And how about you, George?
Well, for me, or as they say in Greek, για μένα, ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο με λίγο γάλα. Ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο με λίγο γάλα. So, can you maybe guess what I might be asking on top of that, which is something you get with coffee often or not?
So, that is milk, γάλα. Although George said λίγο γάλα, which means a bit of milk. So let's have a chat about milk, γάλα. In Greece, you'll see that, if you ask for milk on the side, so for example, if you order a hot instant coffee and you have milk on the side, it will most probably be evaporated milk, which, bear in mind, does give a bit of a sweeter taste to your coffee. But let's see how we would say with milk, without milk, and, if you're like me, plant-based milk. So, with milk, μεγάλα. Μεγάλα. Or, as George said, με λίγο γάλα. Με λίγο γάλα. Without milk, χωρίς γάλα. Χωρίς γάλα. Or, if you want with plant-based milk, με φυτικό γάλα. Με φυτικό γάλα. Now, it's worth noting that non-dairy options are becoming more and more common in Greece, especially in the big cities, and on most of on many of the islands, actually. However, on some of the smaller islands, you might struggle to find plant-based milk. So, let's say an example. Ένα φραπέ γλυκό με φυτικό γάλα. That's ένα φραπέ γλυκό με φυτικό γάλα.
Perfectly done. And for me, για μένα, ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο με λίγο γάλα. So, freddo espresso is usually served without milk, but if you get a bit of evaporated milk in there, it's great. It's a game changer. I only discovered it about 2 years ago. I recommend you try it. It's really, really, really good. So, using one of the verbs that we introduced at the start and that we've done in a previous episode, to put it all into a sentence, θα ήθελα ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο με λίγο γάλα, παρακαλώ. So I'd like a freddo espresso medium with a little bit of milk, please, which would be θα ήθελα ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο με λίγο γάλα, παρακαλώ.
Or you could say, μπορώ να έχω ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο με λίγο γάλα, παρακαλώ. Μπορώ να έχω ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο με λίγο γάλα, παρακαλώ. Now, as our bite-sized listening crew is becoming accustomed to, we like to role-play this at the end of each episode so you can listen to a whole conversation for yourself. Those of you listening to previous episodes might already be familiar with some of this language.
Right, let's go through everything from the start as if you are in Greece, in a coffee shop, on your summer or whichever holiday, about to order your first Greek coffee, this time in Greek.
Yay!
And as we said before, yes, build yourself up. You could listen to this podcast before you do because we're going to role play it now. And you might want to have the My Greek Island cheat sheet in your back pocket on your phone downloaded from our website. On this occasion, Maria, we are chopping things up as you will be making the order. Now,
Wow.
the first time we do this, we will translate some parts of sentences that are new to you, and then we will go through it all over from start to finish in full Greek. Are you ready, Maria?
Ready.
Let's go.
Καλημέρα.
Καλημέρα. Τι θα θέλατε? Meaning, what would you like?
Θα ήθελα ένα φρέτο εσπρέσο μέτριο για μένα και ένα φραπέ γλυκό με γάλα.
Τίποτα άλλο? Anything else?
Ναι, ένα μπουκάλι νερό παρακαλώ.
Λοιπόν, ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο, ένα φραπέ γλυκό με γάλα και ένα μπουκάλι νερό.
Ακριβώς, which means exactly.
And then I might say, στην υγεία σας. And finally, you might want to ask, or Maria might want to ask for the bill, which would be...
Το λογαριασμό παρακαλώ.
Now, as we've said before, we're going to go all through from the start, only in Greek this time. Ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1, πάμε.
Καλημέρα.
Καλημέρα, τι θα θέλατε?
Θα ήθελα ένα φρέτο εσπρέσο μέτριο για μένα και ένα φραπέ γλυκό με γάλα.
Τίποτα άλλο?
Ναι, ένα μπουκάλι νερό παρακαλώ.
Λοιπόν, ένα φρέντο εσπρέσο μέτριο, ένα φραπέ γλυκό με γάλα και ένα μπουκάλι νερό.
Ακριβώς.
Στην υγεία σας.
Το λογαριασμό παρακαλώ. Right, my Greek Islanders, this comes to the end of this bite-sized Learning Greek episode. But before we close, what's on next week's lesson, Yorgo?
Stay tuned as our next Greek bite-sized learning episode will be, I'm sorry Maria, it's going to be moving away from food and drink.
I know.
Although we might return in the future with more specific stuff as we move to looking at taking transport whilst in Greece. So until the next episode, make sure you follow us at My Greek Island on Instagram and to send us your bite-sized Greek learning requests.
Γεια σας.
Right, my Greek Islanders, this comes to the end of another episode of this podcast.
Now you know the drill. If you like this episode, share it to share the love with the My Greek Island community, where everyone is welcome. And
Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And maybe give us a little rating from wherever you're listening to us from, so you are notified every time a new episode drops. And if you have any suggestions or requests, get in touch.
And for those of you visiting Greece, don't forget to tag at My Greek Island on Instagram for a future feature. Until then, see you later, or as they say in Greek,
Ta leme.